death of God eradicated truth. In The Future of Religion, the atheist pragmatist Richard Rorty and the Catholic, somewhat post structuralist Gianni Vattimo map out a religion without a metaphysical God. Rorty says that metaphysics is dead. He explains why this means that being religious no longer depends on observable phenomena that are supposedly intuitively evident. So, when Nietzsche declared the death of God, Rorty seems to believe that metaphysics was killed, but God actually survived. This is similar to my recent video about the post structuralist Derrida turning Nietzsche's quote unquote difference on its head to reconstruct the deconstructed God. To Rorty, being religious doesn't require believing in metaphysical miracles that are just assumed to be true. That would be bad philosophy and theology anyway, since miracles are too hard to prove, even if they do exist, and seeing them as intuitively true is an a priori claim. This is what the famous philosopher Kant called a synthetic a priori claim. It's basically an argument that is taken on faith and doesn't need to be defended or proven, supposedly. Religion not relying on this is definitely an improvement. Rorty observed that the death of metaphysics also killed the idea that objective science can reveal the truth of being. Truth cannot be proven by science. Scientific truths are not always the most important truths. This opened the door for an anti essentialist religion without precepts. It's a religion with no God, faith claims, miracles, or dogma. Rorty said that using just our own private motivations for our religious beliefs will help us realize the wisdom of the gospel. This is to him that God sees us as friends, not servants. We're not merely lowly peasants serving an old white bearded king on his throne. We're bros. This reminds me of the famous theologian and mathematician Alfred North Whitehead's idea of an immanent God. It's a God who is just as affected by us as we are by it. God is immanent instead of transcendent or transcendental. However, Rorty points out that these evil postmodern interpretations of Christianity don't need to be legitimized as objectively true. That's because our own private thoughts don't need to be legitimized. They're just our own reasons. Our private motivations behind our beliefs are whatever works best for each individual. We can have different private motivations. They don't need to be the same as those of everyone else. So, Rorty and Vattimo write about the death of God, truth, and basically transcendence. Is God dead? What is truth? What is God like? Metaphysics is dead, which means that you can be religious without believing in miracles or a priori claims. To Rorty, when Nietzsche declared the death of God, metaphysics actually sacrificed itself to save God. Metaphysics died, but God is still alive. This is kind of like Derrida reconstructing an anti essentialist God after it was deconstructed. Rorty argues that the death of metaphysics killed objective scientific truth. The idea that science can tell us about the nature of our being was destroyed in the collateral damage. Science does not prove truths. This opens the road for a religion with no precepts, no rules or ways of seeing God that everyone has to agree on. We justify our faith with nothing but our private thoughts. This can help us uncover the message of the gospel. To Rorty, the message of the gospel is that God is not an old white bearded king on a throne who tells everyone what to do and controls everything and knows everything. He's our buddy. We help each other out in life, as happens with an immanent God. But these evil postmodern religious interpretations are not objectively true either. Remember that. Like I said, this religion has no metaphysics or dogma, and you have your own reasons behind your beliefs. They don't need to be objectively true for everyone. They just need to be true for you. Claiming that these interpretations are correct while others are incorrect would not be postmodernist or rely on our own private motivations. A religion without metaphysics can still also accommodate a traditional conservative Christian God and theology, hypothetically. It can accommodate pretty much any God and any faith. This is all not exactly why the death of God killed objective scientific truth. Rorty and Vattimo disagree with Nietzsche that God was killed, but agree that specifically a metaphysical God died. So, really, the death of metaphysics killed an objectively, scientifically true God. However, it allows us to create our own non-metaphysical motivations for a belief in each of our own unique postmodernist gods. So, for the purposes of this video, I'm not saying that the death of metaphysics killed objective scientific truth, but saved God. That's way too long of a title. So, it's much more exciting to phrase it this way. The death of God eradicated truth!